y'all, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Hi, my name is Brooke, and on my channel I like to talk about personal finances and do lifestyle vlogs, shorts, that kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of content, I would love for it if you would subscribe. So every Friday I do a Finance Friday video, and because we're not yet done with the end of the month and there are still a couple of things that are happening this weekend where I am going to be paying for stuff, I am going to do my budget reset next month so that we can see all of the spending that happens for the whole month of May, because we are almost done with the month of May and we have done a lot of spending, but it's also been some fun. We went to Seattle and had a really great time there. We went on a beautiful hike up to Lake Stewart in Leavenworth, and we just did a lot of fun things. So because I'm not doing my financial reset in this video, I would do a fun little video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is to go through Ramit Sethi's conscious spending plan with you all and see what my numbers look like compared to what he says those numbers should be in line with, based on his different numbers when you look at your fixed expenses, your saving, investing, and your guilt-free numbers. So I wanted to go through and fill that out with you all today because I haven't done that before on this channel, but I watch a lot of other content creators who have done that before. Chloe Budgets, she's done one, and then also I Suck at Budgeting, his channel, he's done them before. So it's just really fun to see and compare what my system looks like versus what he recommends, and then kind of like seeing if I fall in line with what he says is good and stuff like that. So let me go ahead and go over to my spreadsheet. So let's go over this conscious spending plan. So you can get this for free on Ramit's website. I will put a link down below to where you can go ahead and get it yourself. All you have to do is put in your name and email address, and then you will be directed to a download. It is an Excel sheet, but if you bring it into Google Drive and then you open it with Sheets, it works just fine. Sometimes there are certain formulas that don't necessarily translate well over to Google Sheets just because Google Sheets does it differently, but I found this one to be fine. And just for the purposes of making this video a little bit shorter, I have gone through and put in our net worth. And some of this does include the sale of our house proceeds because we went ahead and got that. And we also were able to pay off my husband's student loans like I discussed in a video a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to watch that video to understand why we decided to go ahead and pay those off, even though they have very low interest rates, go ahead and check out my video in the card description above, or it'll be in the description box below. But the first part of the conscious spending plan is always going over your net worth. And if you don't know what a net worth is, it's just everything you own. So anything that's worth money, investments, savings, all that kind of stuff, minus anything that you owe. So any mortgages that you have, any student loans, credit card debt, that kind of stuff. Now, within my net worth, I did get a comment on my video recently about why I don't add my car because it's an asset. That's a personal preference, so you get to choose what you want to add into your net worth. I personally see my cars as a depreciating asset that has utility, and I'm going to drive it pretty much till the wheels fall off. And because of that, like, I probably am not going to be like getting a lot of money for my cars when it's time to like go and sell them and get new cars. So that's just why I don't really like add it to my net worth. It's not going to change the needle one way or the other. So for me, I like to really more focus on making sure that my liquid net worth, which is the investment piece and the savings piece of this, is as high as possible, and I'm not inflating it with things that are illiquid or the price of it is fluctuating like a car. So with this, we have our new net worth, which is our home, of $415,000 is how much it was appraised for. So that's what I'm going to leave it at. And I will not be changing that with the market because housing prices also fluctuate and go up and down. So I'm just going to stick with what the appraisal came in at. And then with our investments, this is my husband and I's combined investment. So all of our 401ks, our Roth IRAs, our HSAs, which we do invest in, all that stuff. So that's almost 300,000, which is really exciting that we're getting to that number. But it's at 294,852 currently. And then our savings. So this is in our high yield savings account, and that is about $89,000. And again, this does include some of the proceeds from our house sale. So that is why this number is pretty good right now. We are going to keep a lot of this in cash because we want to do some home renovation projects. So we need to have that money cash on hand. We're getting some trees removed in our front yard. We know that we're probably going to need to get our HVAC replaced in the next few years. So we just wanted to have some money liquid so that whenever those things come up in the next 1 to 2 years down the road, that we have the cash on hand already and we don't have to worry about pulling from any of our other sinking funds and stuff like that. So that's why our savings number is fairly cash heavy, because we have those things that we want to do. And then our debt is only our mortgage. So we are completely debt free after paying off my husband's student loans. We only have our mortgage. It is a 30-year fixed conventional, and it does have a 6.125 interest rate. So it's fairly high. And we've been talking about whether or not we should pay it off early, or if we should go ahead and invest that money and things like that. And I actually watched a great video the other day by this realtor that I like to watch his channel. His name is Javier. I'll link his channel down below, but he actually did a video in which he ran the numbers. Is it better to invest $500 a month, or is it better to pay that extra $500 to your mortgage and then start investing after that? So the numbers that he ran were very interesting, and it was very interesting to see what he decided was the better route because of the numbers that he ran. So I won't spoil that video for you because I want you all to go watch it. I think it's a great video, but that is where our numbers are standing right now as of the beginning of June. And so that means our total net worth is $410,000, which means we are almost close to 500K, which is crazy to be almost at the $500,000 mark, because we're only 29. So I feel like I'm very happy with where our numbers are and where everything's going. We're on track for a lot of the things that we want to do. So I am really happy with that. So let's go ahead and look at the other parts. So the first part of the CSP is to put in your income. So you want to do all of your gross monthly income, all income before taxes added up, and that is $19,000 for us. And I am very blessed that we have such a high income, and that's why we give back so generously to our communities, because this is a really great income for the two of us. We don't have any kids right now, we don't have any pets, anything like that. So we have a lot of money that we can generously give back to our communities and to help out in different ways in places that people need assistance in. So I do not take this for granted at all. And so when we look at our net monthly income, which is the money that hits our bank account, and that leaves us combined with about $10,768 that hits our bank account each month. So over $10,000, that's super exciting. So now let's go ahead and talk about the different fixed cost section. So when Ramit Sethi does the fixed cost, he talks about it should be around 50 to 60% of your take home pay. So not your gross monthly, but your net monthly. So when we start filling this out, you will start to see a percentage that will go up there, and that is a percentage of our net monthly income. That is not a percentage of our gross. So he doesn't want you to overinflate things. He wants you to work with the numbers that are actually going into your bank account. And I did go ahead and take out giving just for privacy purposes, but that is a big part of what we do every month. And to me, that is a fixed cost because I want to make sure that I am continuously setting aside money to give to causes that I believe in. So with the mortgage, our new mortgage amount is going to be $3,000. And this includes our PMI, our taxes and insurance, all that kind of stuff, and a little bit extra towards principal, but like not very much, like $50. But that's that. So already our fixed costs are at 31% of our net monthly take home pay with just our mortgage alone. So that's a little bit scary because if you've watched my videos before, you know that our mortgage before was about 10% of our take home pay. So this is a lot, but I feel good with it because if you look at our other fixed cost numbers, you will see that we're actually doing pretty well. And one of the things that he does, which I don't do, I do add a miscellaneous category, as you know, in our monthly budget, but I don't add as much as he does. He likes to do a miscellaneous of 10% of all of your fixed costs together. So that's something to keep in mind, is that this also includes that extra 10% of the fixed cost. So he's adding like $300 here. This is a formula that is taking all of our fixed cost and multiplying that by 10% to get that number. For our utilities, our gas, water, electric, internet, cable, we are looking at about $150 for electric. We've got $70 for our Google Fiber, about $75 for our water bill. We've got gas here, so now we have to add $35 for that. We have our pest control, we have our Simply Safe, and we have anything else that I need to add to this? Our HOAs, which are $34 a month, which I think is not that bad. $34 a month. So that puts our utilities at about $500 a month, which I'm not mad about. Again, our fixed cost right now is like 36%. Gas and transportation. Now, in his gas and transportation, he says to put in your car insurance. However, we do our car insurance from our annual sub fees sinking fund, where we set aside money for any yearly premiums that we have. And so I don't count that into our fixed costs. It will go into our savings. So I do it a little bit differently than Ramit, because a lot of these things that we do pay for, I do pull out of our savings. So it looks like our savings is really high, but as a lot of people know from my channel, like a lot of it is our sinking funds, and we spend pretty regularly out of our sinking funds. In terms of like what we're actually putting towards savings, like for our bigger buckets, it's going to be less. But for that, gas and transportation, just for paying for our gas, and any other random transportation, any like paying for parking, that kind of stuff, I've now put at $325, because gas prices have gone up, but they've gone back down. I think the last time I saw it, it was like now at like $4.10 a gallon. So we're going down, but I don't know if it's going to go back up. It fluctuates, and you know, everything with geopolitics and stuff like that, just like, you should plan for what you can control. I cannot control the price of stocks. I cannot control the price of gas. I cannot control a lot of stuff in life, but I can control how much I budget towards it. So I want to be conservative and make sure I budget enough, because my husband does commute to work. I do not. I have a commute. I work from home, which is really nice. And so because of that, our gas is pretty reasonable, because we're just paying for his commuter vehicle, which is very gas efficient. And then for our groceries, so when my groceries, I also do household supplies. I know some people like to break it up and be more granular, but I found myself, when I go to the grocery store, when I go to Aldi or Food Line, something like that, I just go ahead and buy the household items that we need. So any cleaners, any of our personal body wash, shampoo, that kind of stuff, all that comes out of our grocery bill, because I usually buy them at the grocery store. And I used to be like, oh, I'm going to take my receipt and itemize everything. And I've just decided that my time is not worth it to do that. I have much better things to do with my time than worry about if I need to categorize things properly. So my categories are a little less granular, but it makes me happier at the end of the day. So with all that said and done, I'm setting aside $650 for our groceries. And then for therapy, this is just my husband's copay of $18. My therapy is covered through my work. And then for our subscriptions, we do have Netflix, we do have a gym membership, we don't have a meal service, and we canceled our Amazon Prime. So our subscriptions come to be about $120 a month, I think. Yeah, $120. So that's pretty good. So in total, it looks like our fixed costs are going to be $5,071. And if we look at the percentage here, we are at 47%. Even with our higher mortgage of $3,000, we're still 3% under his fixed cost number of 50 to 60%. So that's pretty cool that our fixed costs are fairly low. We keep them fairly low because of our sinking funds. So again, the way that he does it is a little bit different than the way that I do it, just because I am putting money aside into savings and then pulling from it when I need to pay for certain things because of our sinking funds. And I really like using the sinking funds because it just helps me to be able to really budget more, and spend on things I still love because I know I can pull from my sinking funds and it's guilt free to pull from them because I've been setting aside money each month. All right, now his post tax investing, he says about 10% of take home. And for me, I feel like that's a little bit low. I like to follow the money guy rule of 25% of your gross income going to investments. But with this, in this thing, I am not taking into account our 401ks or HSA contributions, which do go towards investing and do go towards pay our retirements. So with this number, I think it's totally fine that it is at this, but we are doing 625 each into our Roth IRAs. This year, the limit is $7,500, which means each month, if you want to max it out in a calendar year, you don't have a calendar year to do your Roth IRA. You actually have until tax day of the next year, so about like 16 months. But if you want to max it out in one calendar year and not have to worry about rolling it over to the next year, 625 a month. So we're maxing out both of those. And so with that alone, it's showing that we're doing 12% of our take home is going towards our Roth IRAs. And I'm happy with that number. And because we bought our house and everything this year, we haven't been putting anything into our after tax brokerage account. So I'm not going to account for that in here, but that's just something to think about. Like, even with just maxing out our Roth IRAs each year, we're at 12%, which I think is great. For our savings goal, he says 5 to 10% of take home, and this is where I disagree, again, because of the sinking funds. For me, it just makes my brain work better because I know that this money is earmarked for this. And so if I go out and I buy some sort of new technology, like this month, we bought like a new DualShock controller because we wanted to play video games on our big TV downstairs and we didn't have enough controllers for the both of us. So we just went ahead and bought one, and that was like, they're expensive controllers. They're not cheap controllers. But I didn't feel too bad about it because I just pulled it out of our new tech fund. And for me, I'm like, that's what it's there for. So with that, let's go into what our savings goal is. So the next savings goal is a new car for my husband. Well, a new used car, but new to us car. I prefer not buying brand new. And we are looking to buy an EV for him. His car is his commuter car to work, and at his office they do have charging stations. So I'm not worried about him like running out of like battery power to get to his work because it's only like 20 miles away, so it's not a far commute. For me, him getting an EV will save a lot on gas because we won't have to be buying gas. It will make our energy bill go up because he will be having to charge it at the house, but that is so much cheaper paying a higher energy bill than going and paying more gas. So that will actually bring our gas and transportation down, and we will allot a little bit more to our energy bill, but it'll be significant savings. But we want to pay for it in cash. And from the proceeds of our house, we are setting aside about $5,000 to kind of like start that fund. But we want to like, probably he needs to get his car replaced in the next 1 to 2 years. So that's our new big goal. And so to help us really get to that, we want to set aside probably about $30,000 for a new car to pay outright. We're doing $1,000 each month towards that, and that actually brings us already to 9%, which is at the top end of Ramit's thing, but that doesn't even count our sinking funds. And for our sinking funds, I've talked about this, I love to save for vacation, I love to save for extra giving, for gifts, and all that kind of stuff. So I put that we are probably going to be putting aside about $1,200 into our various sinking funds each month. And so that actually brings us up to 20% of our money going in to savings. But I guess technically, if I put our sinking funds up in fixed costs, even though it's not a fixed cost, it's still saving. That might change what this would be, but like that's about 11%. So that would bring our fixed cost up to more like 60-ish%. So I think my numbers actually fall pretty closely in line with what Ramit says in his conscious spending plan. Um, and because our fixed costs are so low, like I can confidently say that we are not feeling like tight. Like if you watch his podcast, which I highly recommend, he talks to couples every week and they go over these numbers, and couples who have very high percentages of their money going to fixed costs are the ones who feel more stressed out because they're basically like saying this money is already earmarked, and if I don't have a job tomorrow, then what are we going to do? We still have those bills to pay. We still have to factor in paying for debt payoff. We have to factor in buying groceries and gas and that kind of stuff. So having a lower fixed cost is still good, but if your fixed costs are like not falling within his range, that's okay. And if you are saving more and investing more, that's also good. Just as long as like things make sense in your brain. And so then everything finally goes into guilt-free spending, which he usually recommends 20 to 35% of take home. And I think that to me seems like really high. I know that people talk about the 50-30-20 rule, which is 50% to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to saving and investing. I also find that rule to be kind of crazy because I'm just like 30% of our take home pay would be so much money to spend per month on guilt-free spending. And I'm just like, I don't know. I try my best to buy secondhand. I try my best to be really mindful about what I'm bringing into our house and buying, and trying not to like buy too much stuff and really spending our money on experiences, which is why I like to put money into our sinking funds so that I can pay for those experiences when we want them to happen. That's why I really care about that. But all that to say, guilt-free spending to me is, you know, something that like I like to save up for and then go ahead and spend it like on vacation and stuff like that rather than pay out each month. So, everybody's brain works differently. So, make it work for you. But that's just how my brain works. So, with this guilt free spending, we have our own individual guilt free spending, which is why I put it into these two boxes here. That's 175 for each of us, and that's been working out really well. And then I'm taking all of those numbers that we saw above, the fixed cost, investments, savings, and the personal guilt-free spending out of this number so that we can get this guilt-free spending number of $18.97 left over each month. And honestly, I still think that that's like quite a bit of money left over each month to go to guilt-free spending. And I mean, if you take in our guilt-free spending, like if we were to like remove these, then it would be 21%. So total with our personal guilt-free spending buckets and then our combined one where we dine out, go to do fun things, we're still looking at 21%. So we're falling in range with like pretty much all of his numbers, which is kind of interesting. So that is like honestly actually kind of surprising. I thought that we would have like a lot less going to our guilt-free spending because I like to save up for all of this stuff and we're saving for a new car and things like that. But with how things are going with how the house proceeds went and paying off my husband's debt, his only debt he had was his student loans. Actually we're doing really good. And this is very interesting to see from a lens of, oh, this is like different from what it used to be. Used to be that our fixed costs were super low, but our guilt-free spending was also super low because we were saving so aggressively for our house. And now that we don't have to do that, like it just feels like we've got a lot more money to play with. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be spending like $2,000 a month, I don't think. But just very interesting to see that. Ramit, if you ever watch this video, which you probably won't, I hope you think that our numbers look pretty good for a 29-year-old couple. So you guys, let me know if you have ever used Ramit's conscious spending plan before. What do your numbers look like? What are your fixed costs? Are they high? Are they low? Tell me all about that in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next week, we will be going over how much we spend in May, especially on vacation. We definitely overspent on vacation, but that's okay. We had some extra income come in. And then we'll look at what's going on for June. It's my husband's 30th birthday next month, so that's super exciting. Give him all the happy birthday love in the comments below. And then I will be turning 30 in October, which is crazy. But thank you all so much for getting to 600 subscribers. I am so excited we reached that milestone. So hopefully we are on track to reach 1K by my birthday. As always, make sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff. That really helps out my channel. But I will see you all in my next video. Bye, y'all.